Hello and welcome to another edition of Meet Your Board of Education. I'm your host, Michael Estime. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Southfield Board of Education President, Miss Dillon. Welcome to the program, Miss Dillon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I want to start off by asking you, when did you first become a member of the Southfield Board of Education?
I first ran for election in 1996, so I am finishing up my 6th year of service.
And how do you become a member?
The process is really a political campaign. We declare ourselves that we want to run. We actually do a campaign, and that usually involves lawn signs and campaign literature. We're invited to community forums who give us the opportunity to express our thoughts and views, and then the community comes out and actually votes for us.
I want to know, how did you get your position as president of the Southfield Board of Education?
We generally rotate the position in all the offices among the board members, and so it was just felt that I would make a good president for this year. And so my colleagues asked me if I would do it, and I said yes.
Cool. I'm wondering, you were president before? Have you ever been president before?
I was a couple of years ago.
And how was that experience running again and again for president? Or did you do that? Or how did that all work out?
President, I think, is really a form of service to the rest of the board. It really is the president's job to make sure the meetings run timely, that we have a good agenda prepared, and that everyone has the ability to be heard, to express their points of view, and that eventually we reach a consensus and a decision.
I'm going to just elaborate on decisions. What type of decisions do you make as president of the board?
Really, being president of the board is being one of the board. It's more a service job. I'd rather talk about what it is to be a board member, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure thing.
Being a board member means that our ultimate responsibilities come down to about 3 or 4. 1, we hire the superintendent. 2, we set the policy and the direction of the district, the big picture. And thirdly, we are very much responsible for making sure that we are fiscally responsible and we are solvent. So those are the 3 big areas that board members focus on. We don't get into the day-to-day decisions at the local building or even at the district level. That's why we hire the superintendent. He hires his staff. Every building has a principal and administration, so they do those kinds of decisions while we try and set the big picture.
I want to know, what is the difference between being the president of the Southfield Board of Education versus being the superintendent of the Southfield Board?
Probably if we were to use a business model that might help, the superintendent is like the CEO. He is the chief executive officer. He is in charge of the day-to-day running of the district. The board is like a board of directors for a business or a corporation. So we talk about policy, we talk about future direction, we talk about things that affect the whole district. And then we turn to the superintendent and say, we do it in collaboration with him, of course, with Mr. Rice. And then we say to him, carry it out.
Yeah.
So that's where the 2 groups really work together. He carries it out. He advises us so that we do make good decisions. But ultimately, we are decision makers for the big areas.
Just to break it down, so the superintendent would more be like the president of the United States or something, and then the president of the Southfield Board of Education would more be like the vice president.
No.
That's kind of, okay, then I got it wrong.
No, okay, we're all right, think of this image. We're like 2, we each have our own set of responsibilities. We have to work together. We have to collaborate.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we collaborate. Okay. So, for example, we're talking a great deal about budget right now. Yeah. And we know we need to reduce our budget. And so it is the board's responsibility to set the broad parameters for how we're going to do this. It's then up to Mr. Rice and his administrators to decide exactly how that's going to happen. like what cuts may be made where, to what degree and percentage. So that would be his decision. We say we want a process of replacing our buses. That could be another example. So we say, he brings to us a recommendation saying, based on our best knowledge, we ought to replace our buses every 10 years. So we say, we talk about it, and we say, okay, go for the bids, take care of it.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of collaboration.
I want to know, what type of topics do you guys discuss at board meetings?
A typical board meeting has input from the community. We always allow for public participation. We always have a superintendent's report. Our business deals more with making sure that we approve the paying of bills, we approve any hirings, changes of positions, but we trust in terms of other people giving us the good information to do that. One of the policies that we recently took a look at was, one would be like dress code. So we have said,
I know all about that.
You know about dress code, okay. So we have said, we have talked about it, and said, okay, we support buildings having dress codes, but here's our procedure, and we outlined it. And it would include support from parents, PTA support, principal support. They develop their own dress code. They bring it to us for our approval. And so we deal it at that level.
Okay. You briefly touched on how members of the community could get into like talking with the board. How exactly would one of the people in our community go about addressing the board?
We are really easy to talk with, I hope. Our practice is come to the board meeting. There's a couple of spots right on the agenda that says public participation. One is before what we call our action items. Okay, so a good deal of our meetings is input, but when we go to take action, when we go to actually vote on items, I pause and say, is there anyone who wishes to address the board, to ask questions, for clarity, to give us input? So that's one place. And then we have what we call general participation. We have said to the community, and this was a recent decision, if you want an answer, if you'll give us your question like 5 days in advance, when you come to the meeting, we'll have an answer ready for you. Great. But if you just want to come talk to us, there's a section called public participation, and the board president calls on anyone who wishes to speak. If you've not filled out a card in advance or sent in your question, we may have to say to you, well, I'm really sorry, Michael, but we'll have to get back to you on that one because we don't know the answer right now. But we'll find out and make sure you know. Yeah.
Ms. Dillon, I want to ask you, what would you say are the greatest accomplishments that you've had on the board so far? What are some of the greatest accomplishments that?
I am really proud that every year we have the vast majority of our students graduating. Our dropout rate is really small, that most of our students, somewhere close to 90%, go on to higher education, and that they do well. So I think as a district we are fulfilling our obligation to provide you and your peers the very best that we can do. And I'm really proud that we've been able to consistently do that. I think we've done some pretty innovative programs over the years. We've tried not to follow educational fads, but to make sure that we offer quality education to young people.
I want to turn in a completely different direction here. Now, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the board right now?
Money.
How is that?
Bottom line, money. Because of changes in how our schools are funded. And I won't even go into Proposal A, but just know it was an act passed by a state legislature that impacts how we are funded. We no longer can keep all the tax money we raise locally, and we are paid by student. For every student that attends, they bring money with them to our coffers. And basically, we are not getting as much money in as what we are spending out. So our challenge is to reduce our budget, keep our programs intact, make sure education stays excellent for young people, but live within our means.
Yeah.
So right now, that is our biggest challenge.
If you had the biggest dream for the Southfield District schools, what would that dream be?
That every young person today, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, every young person that comes to our district will find that he or she receives the best possible education that he or she is capable of receiving, and goes on to be a healthy, happy, productive, useful citizen. That would be my dream.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I want to know if, okay, more on a personal level, what do you do outside of being president of the board?
I work for the Sisters of Mercy, which is a religious congregation. I direct a membership program for them. That's like my paid job. Big part of my life is school board. I am also the mother to 3 young adults who really don't need mothering the way they used to. The youngest is now at U of M. One is graduating from Eastern. And my oldest is 25. So I am mothering in a different sort of way. And I think for fun, I am a needle worker. I do a lot of stitching, a lot of needlework.
So what are some of your hobbies other than needle stitching?
That's about it. That is about it.
I want to know, what do you like about Southfield and its community? Or what do you like about Southfield and Southfield-Lathrop?
I chose to live here with my family and to raise my family here. I love the diversity. I love the fact that we live in a metropolitan area. I like the fact that we are who we are. I like our value system in this community. That's really important to me. And so that's why I choose to live here.
Hey, I want to know, what places do you like to visit in Southfield and Lathrop Village?
I spend a lot of time in our schools. We have 18 schools, and I try to get in and around to as many events as I can. So I really enjoy doing that.
Getting back on the subject of being on board, what is the best part of being a member of the Southfield Board of Education?
That's easy. Handing graduating seniors their diplomas. That is the highlight. And I've been fortunate that during my board service, I was able to give both of my graduating sons their diploma. And there is nothing like handing your son his diploma and being able to give him a big hug. That's the best part.
Well, Ms. Dillon, we're out of time. I'd like to thank you for being on our show today.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I'd like to thank you for watching. I'm your host, Michael Estime. You've been watching Meet Your Board of Education. Tune in next time.